get him for 2 1s. You said it sounds like the Raiders are the team that seems to be being talked about the most. But there are some other teams, I think, out there that possibly could try to get into the sweepstakes that just aren't being talked about. So I think regardless of the situation, Lamar's done in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, like you said, certain teams, right? Like we was just hearing about the Falcons and how it was heating up. You know, what I mean, especially being in Indy, I guess representatives was talking and whatnot. And then once the franchise tag get involved, and I'm guessing the 2 first-round picks get involved in the contract as well. I think it gets a little interesting for some of these teams, especially rebuilding this point. You know what I mean? And I think it comes down to, hey, look, if I'm gonna give you 2 first-round picks, how good are we gonna be next year, and where will these first-round picks land?
Right.
So I think that's kind of why you see certain teams like the Panthers and Falcons, and certain teams leaning out. But then if you think about the Raiders, if you want to go there, this is a team that is in win now mode. And like they're not the best at drafting, if you want to be honest. I think that's something we kind of gloss over. Like, hey, I'm giving up 2 first-round picks. Yeah. But show me your track record and what you've done over the last 5 or 10 years drafting. You know what I mean? They can show for one of these guys like Lamar Jackson right now. So I think you kind of put that on the table. But they do have holes, man. Defense is terrible. But let's be honest, man. With a Derrick Carr in there, the record wasn't the best, but how many close games did they lose? You
True.
know what I mean? It wasn't like they was just getting blown out. It wasn't like they was a completely bad team. How much do you put that on a Josh McDaniels first year in the system? These guys kind of getting comfortable with that. And then if you put a Lamar Jackson in that, how many wins is that worth more than having a Derek Carr in there? So I think that is some, different intangibles and things you got to look at that, could possibly swing things in their favor, man. You can't just sit on your hands and say, oh, well, we got to fix this. We got to fix. I mean, yeah, everybody do. But if you got a chance to get a franchise quarterback, hey, man, you go get one.
No, to your point with Josh McDaniels, that is a complicated system to learn. So I'm sure they're probably on the phone doing their homework right now with the Louisville coaches, like everybody. Like, how is he in the playbook? Like, how smart is he? Trying to figure out that side of it because I do think Rodgers would be easier to bring in and adapt. And then there's the reunion with Devontae Adams. That's fun. But building for the future, are you building to win now? Because if so, you have a lot of work to do on that defense. And Rodgers isn't going to fill that gap, I don't think, in the time he'll be there.
Right.
You get Lamar, you got to turn around and pay him. So we're talking 4-year deal probably. And not only that, you're going to want to know what number is he asking for. You're on the phone with Baltimore. Like, what is he really trying to get? Because are you comfortable paying that? Because that's his price. He's not going to move off of that.
Yeah.
So are you comfortable with that? And I think for the Raiders, it does make sense. They're one of the teams in the league with the highest amount of cap. We've talked a lot too about, getting Lamar some weapons in Baltimore. You get Darren Waller, big body receiver listed as a tight end.
No, he loves his tight ends.
Little bitty Renfro out there running around fumbling. You get that. And then Devontae, man. And then Josh Jacobs, man. He's a receiving back as well. So offensively you sound good. I don't know. I think it makes sense for them.
I'm no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think a couple other teams to think about though, like, or does Indy have an opportunity there cap wise? I don't know. I know we said Washington was out. Pittsburgh might be an option. And how about this too? Green Bay's about to deal their quarterback. What if they get in the sweepstakes?
Yeah, but they in a weird spot.
Right.
Like they, what I mean, it's like they want to see what they have in Jordan Love, right? And I think the weird thing about it, we talk about this is like obviously we see the news. Aaron Rodgers he got granted permission to go to New York, and I think Las Vegas was kind of sitting here this whole time wondering like, hey, this is our first choice. We want Aaron Rodgers, but what is Plan B? What's it ever to draft a quarterback in the first place? That we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought Miami would be a good landing spot. Maybe it's because of the cap space, tour, the whole deal, man. But it's kind of weird, man. It just to think about certain teams backing out. You hear the rumors. Just wondering like what is really going on behind the scenes. Like what I mean, you have a franchise guy in Baltimore. What went wrong? And if you truly believe in him, I think you get this deal done, man. So it's just kind of strange, to see how it's taking place. I think where we are today, it's not even beginning to start heating up to where it's going to be, man. So I think you'll see a lot more teams that's probably don't want to put their name in the pot just yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe the draft got to take place first, and certain teams don't get the guy they expected to get. Then they start calling. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it transpires. But one thing I want to talk about, man, I thought about it, was like, why didn't New York possibly just go? Imagine if they got a Lamar
Ooh.
Jackson. You know what I
No,
mean?
that
Which
makes
is
sense.
crazy, man. Because Daniel Jones at 40 million. On the other hand, hey, how much more did Lamar Jackson really want, man? But just seeing that deal take place, we knew that the Saquon deal and Daniel Jones was kind of like, the yin yang. You know what I mean? It was on the same pedestal. One had to happen in order for the other to happen. Obviously, they wanted to get the Daniel deal done versus Saquon. So they got it done. Is that 40 mil? How you feeling about that 40 mil though? What you think about that number, man?
Lem
How it's popping up?
I absolutely do not understand what the Giants are doing here. Here's my
I
thought
like it.
process, right? Like this is dumb. This is what got them in the similar situation with Galladay, Leonard Williams, like over the cap before, is you just paid a good player great money. But is he even a good player? He's had one good season. You know what I mean? So you just paid that man a lot of money. In my opinion, the smart thing to do here is you say, all right, Saquon, we're going to run this tag. Daniel, I got 27, 28, 29 million for you right here. Do you want it or no? Okay, cool. Go test free agency. Let me know what you get. I'll match it. But no one, who else is going to give him 40 million? What were they worried about?
And like, I
You know
don't
what I'm
know, man.
saying? Like
They,
who was going to
hey,
do that? That doesn't make any
he
sense.
he had him by the balls, man. So obviously, whatever it was, whatever deal they had for Saquon, I don't think Saquon was taking it. So I think going into it, they knew, hey, look, Saquon is tag or bust. And for whatever reason, they didn't want Saquon to hit the open market, and it came down to Daniel Jones, right? But if Daniel Jones did touch that market and he just wanted to do a slap in the face and say, scratch the 40 million, I'm gonna just sign with this team to pretty much just fuck you over right now. Then
Yeah.
they could be left sitting there with a Saquon and a year that they thought they was going to win. It could be a wasted year for them. So I'm happy. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? I like I like Daniel Jones in the division, man. You know what I mean? Listen, this is a guy who had, less pass touchdowns than Russell Wilson last year. You know what I mean? And we know how much we bagged on him. He had a decent year. Had a decent year. I mean, he was running a lot more. He didn't turn the ball over as much, but for 40 million, um, when you start comparing contracts around the league, I don't think this kind of lines up for where we thought he would be. I think they was thinking 35 mil, but I think to see them land where they landed, I think that showed how much they panicked and trying to get that Saquon tag done. They really didn't want to tag Daniel Jones, man.
See, and I think the crazy thing about this is like if you're in win now mode, I don't think Daniel's the answer. But if you're like still building up that roster, Daniel's fun because he does have a high floor. You know what I mean? Like he has
Right.
improved. Will he continue improving? What can he become? Whereas like I see the Geno contract, the Derek Carr contract, those make sense for those guys to sign there because it's like you are what you are at this point. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
think with the Daniel contract, you must be paying for upside, but boy, if that upside isn't there, that's a nightmare. On the other
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
it, how you feel about the so I do think, let me say this. I do think that obviously Gino got the deal, he got his extension, and I think it was a good deal for both sides. I think it was
Yeah,
fair.
absolutely.
But I do think without a doubt Seattle still scoops up a quarterback this draft because they can probably get out of the Gino deal if they get the right guy next year. You know what I mean?
I think it makes sense. Normally, when you see the 3-year deal, I think he probably have an out after 2 years. I mean,
Right.
not a bad deal. When we talked about it previously, we thought 35 mil would be, right where he needs to be. I think it's a good deal for both sides too. Hey, look, if he is good and he is what he's supposed to be, cool. And if he's not, hey, look, we can move on, man. So I think it makes sense for them. And then, they got a lot of young players over there. They're not like stressed over the cap right now, so they still got a lot of flexibility to do what they need to do and just keep building, man. So they're in a good spot over there in Seattle, man. For
On
real.
excuse me, on the other side of that too, so you got Derek Carr just signed his deal with the Saints, and he just went from being the worst quarterback in his division to the best quarterback in his division. What's your thoughts there?
I'm kind of on both sides, man. I think it's the best fit for him. Obviously, in New York, I don't think he played the best in the cold. I think he kind of looked at the dome situation.
Oh,
They got a
absolutely.
good defense and a good team. They still got weapons over there, so I think from that standpoint, the Saints was a good fit. But I don't know how much he moves the needle.
Right.
You know what I mean? As far as winning, so I don't really know what direction they want to be. Um, You know what I mean? We'll see. I think he could fit in. I think he was a lot better than what those guys were last year, Jameis Winston and you know what I mean, and a little bit of Taysom Hill or whatnot, man.
Andy
So
Dalton.
yeah. So I mean, he reunites with Dennis Allen, obviously. He got some familiarity there. You know what I mean? But I don't really know how much it moves the needle, to be honest. I feel like this time next off season when it comes back around, we probably be sitting here just having a discussion again, saying like where is Derek Carr now, and how do the Saints approach this position once again?
Right. No, absolutely. What about so we see too, like you said, it looks like Tennessee is doing a garbage sale and they got Derrick Henry allegedly on the trade market. But I mean, is there really a market for Derrick Henry? I mean, he's expensive. He's got a lot of touches. He's been healthy, he's been durable, but for how much longer? Like, what are you thinking? Like, some they can maybe fetch like a 3, maybe a 2?
I mean, I don't see it being a first round pick, but that's crazy, right? Because I think it also depends on who the team is, where you are, where that first round pick at, or second round pick, and where you are as far as like trying to win and getting a guy like that. Like if you think about it, some of the teams that's involved, like the Chiefs, like if they give a first round or a second round pick from Derrick Henry, like bro, we're gonna call that a great deal for them because hey, they might be going to a couple more Super Bowls in just a couple years. Or the Bills,
Right.
they have like one of the worst run games. I'm sorry, you know what I mean, in the league right now. And you get a guy like that, where does that push them to? Or Philly, I hear their name popping up, and you can just imagine a Jalen Hurts and their Henry read option. That's scary. That's scary. So you got certain teams like that before a team like Atlanta, who I see floating around. Like,
Ooh.
um, from a off the Smith standpoint, maybe. But how much does that move the needle? And then, you know what I mean, y'all young, y'all building roster, y'all have all these draft picks and all these running backs available this year in the draft. I don't really think it makes sense. But for a team that's in win now mode, hell yeah, I will give up a second round, a third round pick. Or you think about like the Cowboys, you know what I mean? If we didn't have Pollard or Zeke and I could get them in there, I mean, I would think about it. You know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest, man. So I think depending on the team, um, would Tennessee be willing to deal to the AFC? So I think maybe on the NFC side it may be a little different, man. But I think he still got some juice left in the tank, man.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, he's not. I don't know if you can still call him the best in the league, but he may just come back and bounce back this year, and remind everybody, you know, what I mean, who he is, man. So
You know, to be honest, I'm almost willing to bet every team's probably called Tennessee, just trying to see what's going on there. Like, how much y'all going to take on the salary? What kind of pick are you like? If I give you a second, are you going to pay half his salary? Like, that makes sense for almost every team in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is a nice market there, but I just don't see the point of dealing Henry. Like, he's all you have. Like,
I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand what Tennessee is doing. Period. Like, could you if we went back 2 off seasons ago, and I was to tell you, hey, look, these next 2 seasons, Tennessee is gonna trade AJ Brown,
but that GM
young,
got fired though, like immediately.
but still, it doesn't.
I think
You know what I mean? It doesn't make it no better. You trade this guy, then the next offseason you move from a Derrick Henry. They were so close. This was a good team. The defense is right there. All they need is some pieces. I'm just wondering like what the direction is. If you move on from a Derrick Henry, they don't have the best cap situation in the league right now. So it's not like you can just kind of, flip this thing up and move forward and just kind of like, are you going to rebuild? You going to tear it all down, or are you going to go get you another guy to win now? You know what I mean? But I think Derrick Henry helps you win now. So I don't know what they're doing,
you
to be
know,
honest.
I think with Tennessee, as long as they have Mike Vrabel, you're looking at like 7 to 9 wins regardless, minimum, no matter who they got on that team. But if you think about it, he does kind of come from the Belichick way of things, and Bill is the GOAT at moving off players at the right time. So maybe they see
Yeah.
something that we don't, and maybe it is time, you know.
Yeah, I don't really know what the direction is over there, but I'm sure there's a lot of suitors is lining up. And I just want to kind of move on to, you know what I mean? We got the NFL draft heating up. We see some of the prospects coming out. The combine was live in effect, man. Um, Couple guys, you know what I mean, I want to talk about that we see, you know what I mean, popping up, and we kind of knew who they were, you know what I mean, before, but now it just seems like it kind of took them to a new level. And the first guy is Anthony Richardson. Like, do you believe there's a little smoke of fire, you know what I mean, that he could possibly be in a conversation for the first overall pick? Or is this Chicago just possibly, you know what I mean, doing that thing where they're trying to get a team to just come up and grab the farm right now, so they can get all they can get, and they really want to build around Justin Fields. After all,
No, I don't think Anthony's going to go one. I think it's exciting. I do, but he is a project. In college, he was the best athlete on the field. He's an athlete still learning how to play the quarterback position, and a lot of
yeah,
these people are comparing him to Cam, but people forget how good Cam was, even in
Cam was a
college.
beast.
Like
Not the same.
Cam,
No.
no, it's not close. And Cam won in college. Cam won a Heisman as well. Anthony Richardson, he didn't do that. So like, he's a raw talent that can become something of that level. But to take him one overall, I think is a huge risk. I think your Bryce Young, your CJ Stroud type guy who seems more pro ready is the move there. If you're going to do that, go quarterback. I think those guys will still go ahead of Anthony Richardson, unless someone's feeling bold. I mean, if I told you many moons ago you could have taken Josh Allen one overall, you would have done that. You know what I mean? If I was like
Yeah,
this guy
oh
that
for
went
sure.
10, and that's kind of where I think everybody's going with this is like
Yeah.
Richardson's really here, but he can be here. You know what I mean?
And we talked about this like weeks back, and you called me crazy, and I was like, listen, I was like, bro, we can get Anthony Richardson, right? Hit me out, and we can get this guy for the 26th pick in the draft. Nobody's thinking about it. I'll sit him behind Dak for like 2 or 3 years, and I'll say, look, when that contract ends up, I'm like, all right, what you want to do, right? And I say all that to say, like, yes, he can go high, right? But I think it does him no service to go high to one of these bad
Right.
situations. I think the best thing for him is just to fall in a good spot. I still would like to see him redshirt 1 or 2 years. I don't think he's ready to just hop in there day one. You know what I mean? But if one of these teams hop up and draft him, I just hope he goes to a good situation, honestly, because he has all the talent. I just don't think from day one. I don't think he's going to come out and be the guy that you expect him to be. So I'm hoping he goes to a good system, a good team, somebody that can like sit him on the bench a little bit, and then maybe just maybe he'll progress a little bit and he'll be a superstar quarterback that he can be, man.
Right.
Because listen, like for that size, running as fast as he is, jumping as high as he is, you see the cannon, and how hard he's throwing, man. He has all the intangibles, you know what I mean. But we all know in the NFL, like the window's a little bit smaller, you know what I mean. It's not the same, you know what I mean. So, um, not only that, man, this guy Nolan Smith, man. Ah, man, like
No chance he falls. Not after
nah,
that
nah,
performance.
nah. And it's crazy because I seen a lot of guys like ranked ahead of him, but just seeing him, you know what I mean, the show he put on, man, 4-4. You know what I mean? I know you've seen the video. He's running fast, and Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, all these guys, man, that defense end. It just show you how freaky athletic, some of these guys is. But I think for him, I think he automatically just kind of moved himself into the top 15 with like no questions
Oh yeah.
asked.
Especially, I think a lot of teams regret not taking Micah Parsons and letting him fall to Dallas. Micah was unstoppable the year before in college, but the
Yeah.
COVID year kind of let him slide under the rug. There wasn't fresh highlight tape out there. So I think this year, like seeing him on film, seeing that combine performance, like I don't think he gets his way out of the top 10, to be honest with you.